final match is between Farragut and Austin East. If they will please take their seats now. Previously established rules apply both to the audience and the teams. We will begin with case number 1, security versus privacy. By random selection, Farragut will present first. I will now read the ethical case. Americans were shocked this past June when Edward Snowden, a previously unknown U.S. security contact, announced that the U.S. National Security Agency was collecting millions of private communications, emails, texts, and telephone records from thousands of unsuspecting U.S. citizens each day. The records collected were not the overseas communications authorized for collection by the 2001 U.S. Patriot Act or the 2011 Patriot Extension Act, but, according to Snowden, were daily communications with ordinary U.S. citizens, with friends, families, employers, co-workers, and even romantic interests here in the United States. Snowden shocked the American public even further by claiming that he could easily tap into any private email, including President Barack Obama's, without having to demonstrate probable cause or even obtain a warrant. Your question is this: when, if ethical, is it ethical for a government agency to collect private communication records between U.S. citizens? Farragut, you have 2 minutes for deliberation, which starts now. Up. Your 5 minutes for presentation will start now.
Thank you, moderator. Thank you, those on the team. Thank you, judges, for your time. This is a very interesting case. It's interesting because it's relevant to the news right now, and it's a developing story. It still has a lot of factors to consider, so we hope to take a look at a lot of them. Really, we want to start, as we usually do, with looking at just kind of the different facets of this case and some different ways we can approach it. So the question was to repeat that when, if ever, is it ethical for a government to collect citizens' private information? So you could first say that if one were to argue that yes, it is a right. There is this concept with utilitarianism that through the collection of the data that a country's national source of intelligence becomes more protected, that they're therefore able to further protect the individuals and that their sense of freedom is therefore preserved. There's also this level of deontology where there's sort of a contract made by being a citizen that the government has this ability to protect you, and that they have made sort of a vow, a solemn vow to protect you as the citizenry. But we're going to say that no, it's not ethically permissible for a government to collect private information using the same two theories but sort of spun on their heads. Deontologically, when a government collects that data, it's violating a contract to its people because it's being deceitful about the way it goes about collecting information. Had the government in this particular case been straightforward about what types of information it was collecting, and Snowden had not revealed information that was previously unknown to be collected, this would be a different answer. But they were not. They were not forthright about what was going on, and therefore they were deceitful. And they were also, through the contract of utilitarianism, we're going to say that there's more pleasure throughout the community, in this case the nation, by trust, that individuals should have trust in their government, and then when they don't have that trust, it promotes a good deal of harm to the community, and therefore we don't think it's permissible.
So I just want to expand a little bit on what we're talking about with these different aspects. So, taking all the moral dimensions into account, we've kind of come to the one stance that no, it is not ethically permissible for a government to gather this type of information from its citizens. First, we kind of looked at it from a virtue-based aspect. So at the heart of virtue, we kind of boiled it down to one question. If we don't have truth, what do we really have? Do we only have deceit, only fraud? It comes down to if we don't have truth, we really don't have anything. Take truth, in this case, to be the virtue that we're most focused in on, that is really our universal virtue. It's what we are guiding our entire discussion around in this case. In this case, Edward Snowden, pertaining to the case study, has indeed satisfied his ethical obligation to go about and tell the truth. He has done his duty. Now, we've looked at the government. The government has not done their duty to adequately inform the population regarding what their actions have been and what their activities have done. Now, in this case, we've focused on truth. Now, what is the real benefit of truth, you might ask? Truth, when given to the people, we've isolated, instead of giving it the decision to one person or a group of people, we've expanded it now to 350 million people out there who together can make the correct choice in a democracy, which is what we're arguing for in the first place. Now, when we look at truth, truth is given to the people. Now, people are allowed to, given the full information, they're not under any false assumptions. In this case, they are able to use the best thought process they have to arrive at the best conclusion they possibly can. The best conclusion, because this is what we've been searching for the entire time. So it all starts with truth, coming to our best conclusion. Another aspect we've kind of looked at now would be the utilitarian-based aspect. Now, Ethan kind of mentioned going after, we're searching for the most pleasure, right? We're searching for the thing that makes everyone the most happy. People are viewed in passive ignorance is bliss, so we'd rather not know what's going on. But as we've kind of already argued with the virtue-based, truth is what allows us to take the best actions and receive the best consequences. In this case, we've received the most pleasure through obtaining the most trust, that relationship bond that a government and an individual share, that a government and its citizens share. In this case, utilitarianism would definitely promote the fact that using this kind of underpinning framework allows us to show that having the truth exposed, having Edward Snowden come out with facts, has indeed been the one aspect that makes the most people the most happy. That concludes our argument.
All right, thank you. Awesome. Your 1 minute for deliberation will start. Time's up. Your 5 minutes to respond. We'll start.
Thank you, Farragut. We agree that the government should not be able to spy on its citizens. However, we agree that this should only be the case if there is no probable cause of certain things. We agree that that the government is showing respect for all persons by allowing its citizens their privacy, and that we agree with your greatest happiness principle that the needs of the many, which are the citizens of the country, outweigh the needs of the few, which are the government. We do understand that this lack of trust could create a negative relationship between the citizens and the government. We understand that the citizens might feel as if the government is trying to take over, which would violate the citizens' freedom of speech and press. Under the virtue of respect, we believe that it should be left up to the citizens what they discuss and who they discuss it with without having to worry about government intervention. Like I said before, we believe that as long as the government has no probable cause to suspect anything that would cause harm to the nation, then they should let the citizens be and operate as they normally would.
When you look at the alternate sides, if the government is not spying on the nation, then what happens if a giant terrorist attack happens, like a giant dirty weapon that wipes out all Chicago, or something like that? Wouldn't the citizens of the United States be angry that the government was not able to prevent this? What happens if they pick up on a major terrorist plot or a belief on a terrorist plot that could go very, very wrong? But with this in order, they would not be able to follow it because they would not be allowed to go into email or tap their phones or things like that.
While we do consider this side, and while we do agree that under probable cause of, say, international or domestic terrorism or treason, the government should be allowed to spy on those that they believe are involved. Under any other conditions, we do believe that it is not the government's place to spy on its citizens.
When you use an example such as like Boston bombing, like what happened then is we had the government protection, or at least we thought we did, but look what happened. A lot of people got hurt or injured. So it really does say that maybe it's not the greatest thing, and that maybe we should have more power to ourselves.
So in conclusion, we believe that as long as the government does not have reason to believe that there is an act of terrorism or an act of treason or something of that nature occurring, that the government should have respect for all of its citizens and have a certain amount of trust so that the citizens can live their normal everyday lives as they would like to.
All right, thank you. Farragut, you have 1 minute for deliberations. Right, your time's up. Your 3 minutes for response will start now.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Josh. We brought up some incredible insights, and we think we're just going to try and reconcile a few of the little differences that we had in our argument, and just kind of contribute to the discussion that way. The first thing we wanted to talk about was the initial point that we brought up regarding virtue inference, right? We wanted to make sort of framework or underpinnings for a reasonable, logical series of steps to take to arrive at a conclusion. The difference between ours, as you can see, is between whether we value truth more or we value respect more. In this case, we still assert that truth is a virtue that we need to exemplify, that we need to follow, and it's based on one reason and one reason only. In this case, truth, as I said before, is a really great virtue to have. But in the specific case, between, taking into consideration the relationship between the government and its citizens, it doesn't happen to be the most relevant in this case, and thus shouldn't be given precedent over the truth. Now we'll talk a little bit about the probable cause situation and kind of reconcile there.
Sure. So, I mean, your addition of the probable cause, I think, is a really good qualification. That's a very important thing to add. And I think, one of the reasons we sort of, neglected to add that is we weren't looking at it that literal logistic process. But absolutely, when it comes down to legislation in terms of providing this honesty we keep talking about, there has to be a tangible written evidence that the government's only going to intervene in cases that provide some kind of probable cause. And that has to be articulated by the government, really, for them to be fulfilling their duty to the people in that contract. You also brought up, the possibility that there's a terrorist attack or some kind of, event, and people look around and say, well, we should have let the government do one X or Y. And of course, we have hindsight bias. We all have hindsight bias. Yes, and like we said, that's not really against what we're saying. We do think they should have this capacity to provide national security. It's just, is it ethical to collect this private information? We didn't feel like it was really pertinent to that specific point. And the Patriot Act also, which is something that we passed in the wake of a large terrorist attack, is kind of a reflection of that principle.
So in summary, we've just kind of tried to reconcile some of the small differences between a case that we both kind of asserted that has a universal, application and universal truth here, that the government does not have the ethical right to spy on citizens. That's what our argument is.
All right, thank you very much. We will now begin our judges' question period. Judges, you may ask your questions starting now.
Thanks. So I'm wondering about your claim that truth is so important. So if truth is so important, then why wouldn't it be important and good for the government and for citizens themselves to know most everything about each other? Right? So what if the government knows what I watch on Netflix, or knows when I brush my teeth, or whatever? Truth's good, and so let's have more truth. And so let's let it all out in the open. And why are people so concerned about privacy? Why does privacy matter so much? And so isn't this an argument for spying on us?
Yeah, that's a great insight, and we were actually just talking about that a little bit earlier. In this case, with virtue ethics, with utilitarianism, there's a fine line that we kind of have to draw between where are we supposed to cross. It's all great in theory, but when it comes down to application, it's definitely a legitimate monster attack. In this case, we kind of have a combination of virtue and utilitarianism. So as soon as virtue ethics starts to infringe on the rights of utilitarianism here, and we're kind of just saying, in this case, at what point is truth too much? Am I interpreting that correctly? Why don't we just let it all out? In this case, at that point, we have to analyze whether, according to the principle of greatest happiness, greatest pleasure, at what point does it become harmful to people as a whole? In this case, for example, in the case of national security, if we start letting out all the nuclear launch codes, putting on that in Wikipedia, we can see that we've done cost-benefit analysis for that, and it's not too difficult that we have with that.
But if I can tap into this phone I like, then I'm going to be over the terrorist. So it's not like I'm learning different launch codes. I'm learning.
So you said I'm sorry.
Oh, I said if I can tap into this phone I like, then I can figure out where the next terrorist attack is. Isn't that according to utilitarianism? And another reason.
That's one reason. But if you actually look at what's happened in the past now, about 8 months after the beginning of this event, President Obama actually came out and said that this has been released after the confessions that were given to the case, that there was clerical errors and such, that none of the information he had retrieved had actually helped prevent any terrorist attack whatsoever. And of course, it's not to say it wouldn't in the future, but at this point, we simply didn't have the infrastructure to handle that amount of data, whether it was phone calls or there was emails. And in this case, the government acted before it even realized that, hey, this isn't going to help us. We don't have the facilities or resources to actually handle this case. That is a very interesting point to bring up. I do understand.
I also just want to add on to that. Should correct the previous falsity. You're kind of saying that we should extend that argument and say that there should be an unrestricted accessibility to all truth that exists in the universe. which is not really where we're extending this. And we're restricting this to say that really the government is not being honest about the way they've been doing this, and it's not ethical for them to be incorrect in the way they present how they've been doing things, and therefore they should be correcting a false statement.
Can I ask, what exactly is wrong with the government collecting private communications from the citizens if the citizens have nothing to hide?
That's a great question. If the citizens have nothing to hide, then why, what is typically wrong with the situation? And I think that comes down to it. I think our premise is wrong in this case. We've argued that, in this case, we didn't find information that came to help us to stop terroristic activities. But that's not necessarily true for the future, because we have a real possibility that citizens have something to hide. Now, we're still saying that it's not permissible because of these certain things. But that looming threat of, a single citizen hiding thoughts can't really be taken away at any point. We simply don't have the resources to stop every single, thought from an individual to an entire citizenship. Does that kind of answer it? I wanted to make sure. Okay.
I think there's also, just getting into add one more thing. Really the central ethical question is it ethical to collect private information, the collection itself. So we're kind of, in a way, the actual content of people's private information is a little bit less, whether or not it's, pertinent. It's relevant, but in answering that specific ethical question, I don't think it's really, it's more of a matter of do they have permission to access or not. It doesn't matter what necessarily the access, what you access.
That would have to be the next step, whether, now the collection is done, is it right to actually search the data? Yeah, that's really good insight.
Yeah, I've got one. I'm a little bit concerned about this truth condition that you guys articulated. So you kind of argued that if the government is transparent in this kind of aspect that you're prescribing, they then can, in some sense, return that information to people who, through some process of democratic procedure, can then make the right choice, so to speak. How might you respond to a critic who is less optimistic than I about the competency of that majority to make the right choice?
We're a little bit, that's obvious there. We even in our daily election, or not daily election, presidential elections, we worry about the competency of some of our voters, whether we actually should have the right to vote. But of course, that's, in our range, we have a set of legislature that defines who and who should not vote. In this case, we still believe that we need to take the choice out of the hands of a single person, out of a single group, to accurately reflect what the people want. Having that layer of transparency is going to allow the best action, the best, what we were saying before, the same thought process. We've had it before that a group of small individuals, would come together and make legislature. It hasn't exactly come out perfectly in that manner, but we definitely believe in the spirit of democracy that if we're going to come to the best conclusion, we have to have the best thought process. And to have that best thought process, we need to operate, to have a fully functioning population that operates under true assumptions. Having false assumptions can most often just lead to false conclusions.
And I also think that knowledge is power, and if we're spreading it to the individuals and we're giving back to people the power they deserve to have, we deserve to have their input.
That time-old adage of ignorance is bliss, we don't agree with that in this situation.
I just want to follow this up. Don't government representatives, police, as an example, they lie to suspects all the time in interrogation, right? We have this evidence against you, and they don't have any such thing. And it seems like the same principle. You guys would want to say, well, police should never be allowed to lie to suspects as part of interrogation. Military interrogators maybe should be allowed to lie to people to get information out of them. Would you want to draw that conclusion? And if not, why not?
Yeah, obviously it's a great counterexample to what we're saying, because again, we're saying essentially you can never be deceitful. Kind of showing the true conscientism all the way, you can never lie. So can you lie in a circumstance where you know eventually, in the case of interrogation, to get the truth? Can it be used? Can lying itself be used as a means to an end? And you know, it's difficult because there's certainly value, and it's certainly a frequent technique for interrogators to use in that specific instance. So it's hard to say, you know, oh, we should remove that capacity from someone because it's just, you know, morally incorrect. I'm tempted to say, you know, it should be evaluated on a case-by-case basis, but at the same time, I recognize that there's a huge difficulty logistically in trying to determine how is that going to be structured.
I think that that's a great point. Like the logistics of it on a case-by-case analysis would be, you know, definitely not feasible in this case, but it would be the best choice. So the main difference between kind of the example you've given and the example we're given in the case would definitely be just the difference of scale. Whether we're dealing on a small basis or expanding to an entire population, some effect that can affect every single member of the population, as opposed to just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 in a certain case. I'm sorry, did you want to say anything else? This example, kind of what we're going to say, that the difference of scale can change a lot of aspects of the argument in this case. So having function created the argument around the assumption of the entire population, how it affects each and every one of us. Because some little aspects can change the meaning of the whole argument when we change the scale.
20 seconds.
We can fit in a quick one.
I really wanted to know what you're defining the harm that comes from the type of trust.
The harm in which
That
case?
comes from taking information of data.
Just, I mean, if people cannot trust the government body, it's not period. And that's proven
So,
itself.
just to follow up with that, so if they told us we're going to gather information, that would not be harmful.
Well, that decision to gather information, to articulate that, is something that should be voted upon by legislative bodies represented by the population, so it's they are actually.
This is simply just the telling of saying, hey, we're going to put all the data on you guys, doesn't make it ethical. Right. We still believe that the democratic process should go through, and through that, the correct
All right, thank you. We're out of time. And that ends the first match.